Attention, all curious minds, innovators, and trendsetters. It's time to pause, lean in, and get ready for an extraordinary journey as we dive deep into the fascinating realms of life, technology, entertainment, and business. Let's explore, learn, and grow together. Brace yourselves, for the next thrilling episodes of Hipther Talks is about to take off. Counting down from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And here we go.
Hi everyone, Zoltan here. We're back again with Hipther Talks, and this time we are sticking to an interesting topic. Of course, AI has been trending for a couple of years now, but it's high time we discuss some serious matters. I have Cody Crumrine, founder and CEO of Nobi.io. Cody, it's nice to have you here.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right. So we have this tradition here on Hipther Talks that we'd like to give the opportunity for our guests to say a few words about themselves without us reading their bio. So, Cody, the floor is yours.
Thanks. Really excited to be here. I'm the founder of Nobi, where we're building AI tools for communities. Before starting that, I have spent a long time in the SaaS and data engineering space. So I love to geek out about connecting systems, and now I get to work connecting people. So that's been a really exciting space to be in.
All right. So this is the reason I was mentioning that we're going to talk about something serious about AI, because finally some tools are available for communities and community building rather than just creating proofread text on social media. So my first question would be about what inspired Nobi's focus on online communities, and what role do you see AI playing in reshaping how communities operate online?
Yeah, so the first part, really, it was kind of an accident that I fell into the community space. I first started working with AI out of an excitement from data engineering, being able to say, yes to a lot of use cases we've said no to for years. And just really built out a platform to make that easier. Automation using data, using AI, happened to get traction in the community space. First customer was a large community. First inbound I got was from a professional community. And it took me a little while to kind of pay attention to that and ask, well, why is this a good fit? And I think it's two reasons, really. One, communities are full of valuable information, right? Conversation is incredibly rich in value, but it's also incredibly unstructured. It's very hard to work with at any kind of scale. And communities usually have smaller teams, so they can't just throw more bodies at the problem, right? So once I realized it was a good fit and started leaning more in that direction, then I also became really excited about this potential of AI that can really be this kind of dehumanizing thing, to find the ways it can leverage encouraging connection, bringing humans together more. And that was then a really compelling reason to dive further into that space, and why we decided to really lean Nobi hard in that direction.
All right. How big communities are we talking about?
All over the place. We've got, I know our largest is probably around 5,000 active members. And really, we see kind of the problems that we really address. It depends on the community. Sometimes they start cropping up around 200 members, sometimes not till 2,000. Yeah. Right. All depends on your people.
Yeah, that's why I asked this question, because we run several communities for our in-person conferences on WhatsApp. We have different groups, and yeah, we've seen that at a certain number it cracks up. So it's really. Yeah. So there's a high number you can hit with those. So in your experience, what are some of the biggest challenges that online communities are facing today, and how can AI help solve them? Hopefully this one with the 200 people limit as well.
Yeah. So I think some of the big problems are just there's the iceberg effect of information in a community, right? So the more active you get, the more members, the more often they're sharing and interacting, right? The more valuable information is there. But the less of it you can kind of keep in context, right? Conversation disappears quicker. Search in, forum or Slack or Discord platforms is usually difficult, right? So the information that's relevant to me as an individual user starts to get buried and it gets harder to find, right? So that's one area AI can help a lot, right? Semantic search is already an incredibly popular use case, right? So that fits really well in community. I can have chat-based search with a bot that can say, well, here's stuff relevant to you, and here's a link to go get into that conversation, even though it's 2 months old, so you never would have seen it. The other one, I think, is just friction to contribution, right? When you're small and new, maybe there's less total value there because there aren't as many people, but there's also less friction to engaging, right? Nobody's new because everybody's new. There's less fear of doing things the wrong way. So it's easier for folks to jump in and get involved. As you grow, and this is that kind of, maybe it starts hitting around 200 people point, as you grow, it gets to be a little more intimidating to jump in. I don't know where to start, or I don't know if I'm asking things the right way. Or even if I am an experienced user and I want to keep up, helping other people get in and get involved, well, it's tougher for me to keep up because there's so many new things going on. And so there's a lot of opportunity for AI there also to just make those things a little bit easier, reduce the friction to jumping in, reduce the friction to connecting with another person, overcoming that barrier so that the users can do, what they came to do in the first place.
All right, yeah. As a friend who often speaks at our conferences has launched a call for startups to join a Telegram group, and in 2 or 3 months they are up to 600 plus. And it's getting really hard to manage for them, so the information doesn't get lost. And this is my next question, because I'm very interested in this about the integration, about how does Nobi focus on integrating AI into community building, and could you maybe say some practical examples of how this works? Do you need your own platform so you can plug in your service, or you can use it maybe in groups?
Yeah, so we built, again, because we kind of started Nobi as a generic automation platform before we got into the community space. We've built it to be kind of modular and connector oriented. So it's not meant to replace your community platform. It's meant to plug into it, right? So we have folks using Slack or using Discord or Discourse. We'll connect into those APIs to be able to, pull data from there, which we use for search and stuff. I'll talk about that in a moment. And 2, to be able to give you as native an experience as possible, right? So that if you're using Slack, you can work with a Slack bot, not go somewhere else to another platform here. And so some practical ways then that we kind of jump into that community flow and help things happen. The first is with that semantic search. So we'll give you a bot that you can chat with and ask a question. It's going to have access to really whatever you've connected. So your chat history or your discussion history, also commonly, articles, if you have a newsletter or something that goes along with your community, give it access to that, so that it can give users answers based on that context, but then also point them to, here's where we got the answer, here's where you can go to connect with somebody and learn more. We also support a proactive version of that same tool, which looks in the community for unanswered questions. It only will pick them up if they go past a certain amount of time, because we always want to make room for humans to engage first. But if something goes long enough without being answered, the bot will actually proactively go to see if it can find similar discussions or people who have answered questions like that before. And then it will invite them to join the thread, join the conversation, just kind of respond saying, hey, so-and-so has posted about this before. Why don't you help them chime in? But then we also have what we call our intro bot. So that watches new member introductions. Most communities will have a specific subforum or channel or something for that. And so when a new user gives some information about their background, why they joined, how they can help, what they're looking to do, it will give them a few recommendations of where to start. Hey, this channel matches your background, or maybe we have a sub-chapter in your town or region, helps folks kind of jump in and get involved.
All right, so that sounds very interesting. And Hoping that my friend is listening to this podcast, he will jump in and look you up. So how do you strike a balance between AI automation and the human touch that some of the peeps out there are missing when using AI automation, and of course, this in the context of fostering meaningful online interactions?
Yeah. We try to ask with every new feature we work on, we try to ask, is this going to increase human interaction or is this going to disrupt it? And we use that as a filter for what is good to work on and what's not. And we've made some mistakes in that area before that we've had to go back and correct. So that was the reasoning behind that proactive flow I just talked about. That's why we have it wait 2 days before it answers. And that's why we have it invite a user to chime into the thread instead of just giving a summary or an answer in there. There were a couple ways we could have put that out that just helps you get an answer without interacting with another person. But if we did that really well, we could end up killing the community, right? That's the opposite of what we want to do. So we try to use that as a lens to determine what and how we build things.
All right, that's good to know. So also let's talk about trust, because trust is a huge factor in the online community space. And how do you address concern about AI's impact on trust and authenticity?
One of the big things is we try to be really transparent about where and how we're using AI. So always call it out, always make it clear. And we've learned a lot as we've gone about where people are happy to have AI involved in their interactions and where they're not. So, for example, transactional needs, like I just need to find this information, people are happy to talk to a bot. That's great, right? But that intro bot that I talked about, the first version we piloted of that, along with giving you some where to start recommendations, it gave you a nice welcome message to the community. So it would be like, hey, Zoltan, it's so cool that you've got a podcast. We're so glad you joined. Happy to have you in this space, right? Just the same kind of warm welcome a human would post. Because that's what LLMs do, is they try to emulate human text. So that's what it's going to do by default. But people really didn't like that, right? Because instead of doing something a bot should do, it was doing something they expect a human to do. I just joined this community to connect with other people, and now I've got a bot pretending to be another person. That feels disingenuous. It feels fake. That's really negative. So we actually changed that to make it more of just a dumb bot message, not a warm greeting. Leave that for the community managers and the other members to do, and got better feedback on that. So I think, one, just making sure that we are paying attention to that feedback when we do it wrong and change it, but really keep AI in the place it belongs and out of the places that it doesn't. And then the other side of trust is just accuracy, because that's such a big concern with AI still, with hallucinations and with, where'd you get this data set? So anytime we're doing something with providing an answer, providing information, we're always having it focus on link back to the source. Like, we want to get you to the trusted piece, not have the AI try to be the trusted piece.
All right, so let's also talk about this part, the hallucination of AI, because we've been seeing it on a large social media platform that their AI is sometimes acting up, and the moderating is not really accurate. So from moderation to engagement, which aspect of online communities do you believe that AI is most transformative for, and why?
I think I would have to lean towards engagement there. Again, we're doing whatever we can to reduce friction, to make it easier to get people connected. I think especially with moderation, there's just a lot of risk right now in letting AI handle that. Even if it was perfect at it and had no hallucinations, you take so much visibility out of the process of what's going on, that I would have concerns about that. I will say it is valuable for moderation when it is extending the abilities of a human moderator, like a community manager. So we have done some custom flows where we will say, notify an admin when someone's like not following channel rules. Like, hey, this person seems to be doing a lot of self-promotion in a spot where we've said they shouldn't be doing that. So not trying to have the AI moderate that, but have it help an admin notice that when it's a really big community. We're also working on some things that are going to be coming out probably in a month or two around helping those same admins like identify where some nurturing may need to be done within the community. Things like, this user looks like they're interested in scheduling local meetups. Maybe you could reach out and help them do that well. Or this user is really kind of growing, like becoming the more frequent contributor. Let's see what we can do to jump in and help, move them up to the next level of being really a big impact provider instead of just consumer in the community.
All right. So recently, I recorded a podcast about search engine optimization in 2025, where AI is playing a huge role now in the content creation, etc., making Google change the game and adding new features and new filters. So no doubt, many industries have been accelerated in terms of evolution and innovation. So what are some of the key SaaS trends you're seeing that are being accelerated by AI?
I think one thing I'm seeing that was already kind of a trend beforehand and is accelerating now is SaaS that does one small thing really well, right? So there's already been a lot of really successful, like, okay, I need to add payments, I add Stripe, I need to add login, I add Propel Auth or Auth0 or Okta or something. I kind of picking a specific package for exactly what I need as opposed to like the whole platform thing. And the whole platform thing's still valuable. That's still going to keep having play. But I think an acceleration of that with AI because it's becoming easier than ever to build with no code, right? Or build with AI as a non-technical or semi-technical user. And you can do that especially really well when you have really specific scope. So, you see a couple people out here that are starting almost like solo holdcos where they're putting out, hey, here's a tool I built just for SEO. Here's a tool I built just for building directories. Here's a tool I built doing this, right? And that's interesting because I feel like that comes into play a little bit with the whole, SaaS is dead, AI is going to kill SaaS prediction, right? If we have so much of this and it's so easy to put out, am I just going to have like, my SEO tool and my CMS tool, and there's going to be 100 of them, and I pick my favorite, and no one's going to be able to build a big player. I'm very skeptical about that in general. But when I think about how many people are putting out really bespoke, specific use tools, I think, oh well, I can kind of see where it's coming from.
All right. So let's also talk about examples about Nobi's AI-powered solutions. So you don't need to name your success story if you don't want to, but can you share an example of success story or key moment where Nobi's AI powered solution made a significant impact for an online community?
Yeah, I guess I'll share two that just stick out in my head. I don't know if they're the best. One is just one of those great automation use case where you save time so you can scale more, right? We had a community that puts out a weekly email highlighting top threads from the past week that got great engagement, lots of people sharing information, lots of in-thread contribution, not saying, oh, DM me or let's have a call or talk offline, right? They had over 150 channels. So it took them a full day of work to put that together every week. We built a process on Nobi that instead uses their criteria that they defined to scan through and find the top 15 candidates for great threads for the week. They narrow that down to their top 5. And it also creates, kind of summaries and picks out a top post for them. So they'll massage that a little bit. But they're able to put out that email with, like half an hour of work instead of a day of work. So that's, coming from an automation background, I just love to see that. I love to see that time freed up, right? That makes me excited. But the other one that sticks out that probably has less business impact, but just was a delightful moment for me to see was when we first released the, we call it the connection spot, that proactive, I'm going to go help answer unanswered questions. There was a young woman who posted that she had an interview coming up for a business college. that she had applied for. And she posted in the community, hey, has anybody else, gone there or had connections there that can give me advice or help me prep for this interview, right? So she posted that, and it was short notice. She's like, it's next Monday. And this was on, like a Wednesday or Thursday or something like that. And so that post went a day without any responses. That post went another day without any responses. And so then the bot chimed in. It found a couple users in the community who were alumni and had posted about attending there before, tagged them and said, hey, these people might be able to help. And one of them chimed in right away and said, hey, yes, let's get a call on the calendar tomorrow. I'll talk to you and help you prep for your interview. And I loved to see that, because that validates this idea that, look, there are people in the community that can help, and those people want to help. And so when this young woman posted and had crickets, it's not because nobody cared. It's not because nobody was able. It's just because they missed it. And if we can add this little piece in that helps connect the right people, then they help each other out. And it's just really encouraging to see. I loved that.
Yeah, it's such a great story. So how do you approach scalability with SaaS when dealing with dynamic and growing communities? So does AI play a role in that scalability or not?
Yeah, I think it does, because I think I've talked to a lot of community managers who say that basically there's some point when, and this is especially not so much seen in like the DevRel or customer support communities, but really in a community of practice or a coaching community where the community itself is the product, and there's kind of a strong personality or two behind it. So I've talked to a lot of community managers in that situation that say, hey, this is great, but it doesn't function if I take a vacation. Because I'm connecting people, or someone told me that I get the feedback all the time that my favorite part about the community is you, and how you always know who to bring into the conversation and who to connect and everything. And it's wonderful. And they say, well, that's great, but that means this is way too reliant on me. And so there's only so much that you can do to be the glue in a community. And you kind of have your then super users as you grow that take over, and they're being the glue in the community, right? But the bigger you get, the harder it is to become that super user, because there's so much going on and you haven't been there since the beginning. So the capacity of kind of the core, that is the team running it and those super users, their capacity to be the glue just fades out as you get to a certain scale. And so again, where we want to be leveraging AI is not to replace those people, but to make it easier for those people to keep up on what's happening, easier for those people to see where they might be able to help and contribute, easier for the admin to see who may need help, and then take a few things off of their plate that are, again, just in that transactional bucket. Like if it's just, I need to find this conversation that happened before, let's let you do that without a person. So that you can get in and go there. And I think that's where AI can really help scale the human abilities that are already there, right?
All right. So no doubt you have a community of your own with your with your clients.
I do not.
No. All right.
I do not. It's funny. I've been asked that frequently, and I go back and forth to thinking, hey, I'm in the community space. I should really start my own community, right? And bring people together in that way. And then I tell myself, no, you're trying to build a company. Don't try to start a community too. That's crazy.
No, but either way, you're part of it. You're part of that ecosystem without having a platform for it, because you track more people like that. So that's why I'm asking you this, because SaaS companies like Nobi, I'm interested where you guys are heading in the next maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years, and then maybe could you have a glimpse into the crystal ball and say what's next in the AI revolution space?
What's next? Well, I think they're two different questions, so I'll try to answer one at a time. If I'm looking in the crystal ball for Nobi, it's leaning further into this direction of how can we, when we're working in a global loneliness epidemic and we're working with a technology that can be such a force for disconnection continue to find ways to use it for connection. And I think especially we're really lately leading in that direction. We kind of started very user focused. How do I help, Joe the member get connected and find things quicker? I really want to continue leaning into these. Well, how do we help the admins, the people who are already the nurturers, the gardeners in these communities to be able to extend what they're able to do? So crystal ball for Nobi, a couple years down the road, it's really how the community manager, the community owner is able to just have this unprecedented kind of oversight and ability to nurture and care for their community. When we talk about what's next in the AI space, the next big AI thing, and who knows, it's all over the place. But I'm particularly excited about the idea, and I almost hate to say this, but it gets so much hype, but of like autonomous agents and of an interface where there's, AI that's able to kind of operate in a way where it's kind of directed and reaches out to a human when a human is needed, as opposed to we kind of have the opposite flow right now. I'm really excited about that potential. I don't think we're as close to it as some people say. Like the agent platforms out there are still just really complicated chaining and automation from my perspective. But I'm also really, really excited about voice as an interface, which I was kind of a little down on. Like, we don't need another smart speaker. Like, we've kind of tried that, whatever. But when Google put out Notebook LM, I don't know if you've played with that yet. Yeah. But the way they're able to, the surprise and the delight involved with the experience in that project was amazing. I couldn't believe how long I spent just tinkering with it once I tried it out for the first time. So I'm really excited to see where that goes and to see really like what's the interface that we haven't thought of yet. Because I'm not sure it's talking to a speaker. I'm not sure it's smart glasses, but I feel like there's going to be some way of interacting with the world that AI enables that we just don't have a category for in our minds yet, akin to trying to describe a smartphone to someone 60 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And you pointed a thing out very correctly. In my opinion as well, smart glasses are not. I would love to, because I'm a huge fan of augmented reality, but it's not catching on. So
I don't want it to either.
No?
I'll sit on that for a second. Like, I agree. I'm a huge tech head. So you talk about smart glasses, and I'm like, yes, I want a HUD wherever I go, right?
Yeah.
for everything going on. But I also know just how dopamine addicted we are in this day and age, and how easily I am already distracted by so many things. I am working on removing the ability to multitask for my life. I do not need smart glasses that give me unlimited ability to multitask. That will destroy me quickly.
Yeah, definitely. There are some people out there like us who it's not good to have a plus multitasking in our head. So somebody who is deeply involved in community building, as you are, in terms of your clients' communities, not your own community, as you mentioned, but probably in the next 5 years that will change. What does the future of online communities look like to you? So what role will AI play in shaping this future? Because we touched some bullet points already, but maybe you missed out on something. Or
yeah, I think AI is going to play both a positive and a negative role in shaping that future. So we've talked about how I think AI can improve or enhance the ability of humans to connect in communities or operate communities at a larger scale in a way that still feels cool, like the smaller scale did. So I think those are all going to have positive influences in handling that capacity. I also think if you look at the prevalence of AI creating SEO content, AI writing, automating posting on LinkedIn or on X or on social media, right? I think we're going to see kind of the negative impacts of AI on the big social spaces drive people into the smaller spaces, right? And so we already saw kind of a huge jump in community during the pandemic, when everybody's at home and online and looking for connection. We've kind of seen a drop off as the hype post pandemic has faded there, but I think we'll continue to see people find the value in, like, I want this smaller niche space where there's just less noise and less junk, because it's not, you're not going to put effort into targeting, like, automating content in a even 2,000 member community, because the juice isn't worth the squeeze. You're going to do that in the big spaces, and so that's going to create more desire, more need for the small spaces.
All right, so this we're already seeing on LinkedIn, probably, about this AI generated content, and some of them you really automated, and somehow feels like you're just like, I don't know, it's different now. So how do you see AI evolving to support smaller niche communities versus the larger ones, like mainstream ones we have?
Yeah. I think it's going to be, I feel like a broken record here, but it's going to be successful to the degree that it helps humans connect with each other and do what they already do well. And that's really, honestly, going to be less about the technology and more about who is adopting it and how and to what end, right? It's just going to be able to do more and more. We're going to need to just be careful about whether we use it positively or negatively, mindful of the passive, positive, and negative side effects that we can't control, whether we're using it intentionally well or not, and continue to put it in the right places. I think communities are an interesting space where you almost are forced to do that because your business model is tied to human-human connection. So, as opposed to other places where you might be implementing AI, you're kind of forced to consider this with every decision. Like, if I disrupt human communication too much, I lose my product. So it'll be a good way to kind of filter those use cases to the good ones, I hope.
All right. So let's also give some advices for the startups or businesses that are looking to integrate AI into their community building strategies. So what's your best advice on this?
Call me up. Talk to me. Not just because we have some tools that can help you, but also because I am just desperate for conversations all the time. I love to hear what you're working on, what you need, what's easy, what's hard. But outside of Nobi and me and what we could do together, I would just say be thoughtful about it. Engage your users about it. Be talking about how AI doesn't fit in your community. I'm seeing it pop up in community guidelines more often, like a stance on when we do or do not want you using, and whether using AI to write your post is bad, but using AI to go Perplexity to go research your answer, we're cool with, right? And those will evolve and change over time, and to some extent, we'll all just figure it out, like we have figured out technology in the past. But this is a great time to just be open and mindful and having conversations.
All right. So this, like you said, I'm also sounding like a broken record. But I did it last year on our podcast because even if you like it or not, it's January now. We're going to blink once. It's June. Blink again. It's the end of the year again.
Yeah.
So, if you had to sum up your vision about Nobi and AI-powered community building in one sentence, what will happen this year? What will it be? This is a trick question.
This is. Let's see. We're going to use potentially the least personal technology ever created to help people get more personal. That's my vision for the year.
Wow, that's one great vision, and well, Cody, thank you so much for your time and for enlightening us about your products, and I'm definitely pinging my friend Daniel about this to reach out to you, because his community is growing and it's getting really hard for them to adapt to this. Again, thank you. And to our audience for sticking around. We will be back next week with more crazy stuff. Cody, take good care, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me on. I've really enjoyed our time.
And that's a wrap for this section of Hipther Talks. Thank you for being a part of our journey today. Don't forget to tune in next week for more insights and discussions. Stay connected with us on Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and more. Until then, keep exploring and keep growing. We'll see you next time.